This special meeting will come to order. This meeting was called by the Committee of the Whole for the purpose to discuss Resolution Number 4, 2015, with possible passage. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chauvin.
Here.
Cunningham Henry.
Present.
Del Rio Keller. Halter. Lewis.
Present.
Manson.
Here.
Scazza.
Here.
Sterrett. And Stinson.
Here.
7 present.
Yes.
I make a motion to excuse Councilwoman Sterrett and Halter.
Okay, I need a second. Second by Councilman Manson. Roll call to excuse Councilwoman Halter and Councilwoman Sterrett's absence.
Cunningham Henry.
Yes.
Del Rio Keller.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Manson.
Yes.
Scazza.
Yes.
Stinson.
Yes.
And Chauvin.
Yes.
7 yes to excuse Councilwoman Sterrett and Councilwoman Halter.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The councilwomen are excused for this special meeting. Resolution number 4, 2015.
A resolution to accept the mayor's 2015 fiscal restoration plan with council's recommendations and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Manson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask Diane if you would read these things on the last sheet. I believe that's all that changed. And just, I can tell you that some of the percentages and tenths and stuff, I don't know what I can say.
The third page, the bottom, it
Okay.
begins.
I need it to, but there could be some typos. Also, some of the percentages really are difficult, maybe to make clear. So I think we need to have a good tape of any questions and any answers we have for it. So later on, somebody can say, "No, that's not what it means." But even Ken, we talked today, and him and Laura both ran some proposals we asked for yesterday. And he even said how difficult it was to try to work on a split. So that's the reason I'm saying I've been through enough of these things. I don't want somebody to again say, well, that's not the way I understood it. Well, we'll go back and we'll make sure it's clear so we don't, so somebody doesn't try to misinterpret it deliberately. You want to read a new part starting with the bottom of page 3? Is that new?
What we're going to place on the ballot. Place on the ballot.
Yeah. Sarita, you got it.
Yes.
What is it? The next to the last or second?
This is the last one, where it says, placed on the ballot for the March
Okay.
2016.
Place on the ballot for the March 2016 election the question of whether to raise the income tax by 0.2% commencing January 1st, 2017. 0.15% shall be specifically dedicated to for the purpose of funding the city vehicle replacement plan for Streets and Highway Division and provide funding for city streets repair repaving program. 0.05% shall be payable to the general fund. Provided the income tax levy passes effective January 1st, 2017, the 100% income tax credit will be restored on the first 1.8% of income tax levy. All income taxpayers will pay the additional 0.2%. Also new is by August 1st, 2015, Council will meet to form a campaign committee that is to use existing funds from the previous campaign. Also, no, this is, well, we took this out the last one, so also new is all elected officials, which include the mayor, auditor, law director, treasurer, council president, and council members, shall take a 10% pay cut commencing January 1st, 2016. New, the police department shall maintain a workforce of 44 police officers within the next 18 months.
Okay. Councilman Manson.
Now, having gone through that, before we start going through that again, like I explained last night, If we can't have anything else, we're gonna go up or down on that. But now we have these things here that Mr. Gold ran, and also the stuff that Laura ran. If you look at the one sheet here, the sheets that say 9 on the bottom, just like number 9 of our last proposal here. Our proposal that we were talking about, number 9, in 2019, it showed $1,041,672. If you look at the one that says sheet number 9, you look out at the left-hand side, the first line says, first line in that last paragraph there says 90% credit. It means 10% reduction. If you look at the 2019, $1,040,000. It's very, very similar to what we already have proposed, but that's with a percentage, and then like 90% rather than capping at 1.8 and then having no reduction on the 2/10. Everybody kind of understands that. Now, the other one that we have, it says number 9 there, it's an 80%, and it shows carry cash at the end of 2019 at $1,838,584. We asked for those specifically. If you wanted to look like we originally did at 85%, just take it halfway in the middle roughly. Something might change a little bit, but it's really roughly in that area. Also here, there's a very good sheet, 2 very good sheets that Ken wrote up that really break it down exactly how those 2 proposals work, these 2 sheets here. That really explains it as well as it can possibly explain it. So I don't know if you want to talk about these, Eddie, if you want to do on our proposal that's there right now, or whatever, but we do have to have something in place to move it. We don't have a lot of time to negotiate back and forth and stuff like that. And we also have, some of you said you could not be here after tonight, so we would not have enough people to operate. I believe we have to have no less than 7 to be able to waive the rules. So if we only have 6, we can't meet. So we have to do something tonight, if it's nothing more, and passing that plan that we talked about, or putting everything down, and then we'll just let everything move forward, and we can maybe experience impose 15% across the board cuts.
Councilman Lewis.
One quick comment or question, and then a comment. The first question is, do any of us know why we don't have a fiscal officer of the city present? I mean, if we have any questions, we don't have anyone that's here to represent the city to tell us what the answer is. So I guess our conversation is limited in that regard.
Maybe that's what Joel's here for, I don't know.
No,
It's
I don't have Ken's expertise.
And the reason I'm saying that is because currently we're at 1.8%. And when I multiply that by 75%, which would be 75% credit, that gives us 1.35. The remainder would be 0.45. So that would mean out-of-town workers are paying 0.45 to Massillon. And then on top of that, say they work in Canton, they're paying an additional 0.2. So in theory, there's like a, quite a bit of money coming out. 0.45 to Massillon is the most relevant piece. When we look at 80%, that's a 0.4. When we're looking at 90%, that's a 0.2. When we're looking at the 1.8 cap, that's a 0.2. You guys are all following my logic, right? And I went through all that to say that the 90% credit, the option that I don't like about that is, yes, it gives us dollars that are similar, except if you look at the street expenses to street funds, we are shortchanging that line item by $150,000 a year. So yeah, at the bottom line it looks the same, but the reality is we're making it work by doing less.
email that he sent out earlier today. Him and Laura draw attention to the 50-50 split, the increase in the tax rate. I don't know if we just want to talk about that or if we're even going to concern ourselves with it, because they talk about it could be a problem if we don't look at splitting it 50-50 versus.
Let me chunk some Yeah, let me chunk something in here. All right, that sheet I asked you to look at that's for the 90%, it's got the $1,440,258 on it. That's with 50% going to each one. That's where I said, Ken explains it in here, it's 50% to each one. Our proposal is putting like 75% in streets, 25%. Okay, I believe that's something that we can work out with the language through the law director and Mr. Colbert to where some way we could get that amount of money going there. Ours was 1.15 and 0.05. So that's 75% to streets, 25%. This is 50% each. But you can change that, there should be a way to change that 50-50 split to get the 75% in there. But it's difficult, Ken pointed that out. But there's got to be a way to be able to overcome that.
Councilman Lewis.
Why is it difficult? What is so difficult about, I have no reasoning. To me, when I see that, I just have someone saying, oh, you got to do 50-50, you can't do 75-25. Why? Again, why do I not have a fiscal officer here to answer that question?
Councilwoman Wisconsin.
I don't know what he's saying is that it's difficult in the sense of procedurally doing it. I think it's what they're saying is to make up money in the general fund. That's where the difficulty lies. If we do the 1.5 to streets, it's just the 0.05 to the general fund with the 90% split. That's the way I interpret everything.
Oh, only on the 90, I'm sorry.
Well,
Councilman Lewis.
Only on the 90% option, not our 1.8, 0.2 option.
well, in the one, sorry, I'm trying to keep the email. In the 1.8 option, or the 80% option is there too. If you read the last paragraph of the email, that's where he's addressing the 50-50 split. And like I said, that's, I always put the disclaimer that I am not a numbers person, but that's how I interpret it. That if we're moving the split if we're moving the credit that far up, that's where we need to take it up.
Councilwoman Cunningham Henry.
The last sentence says, if we have any questions, we can call him. You want to call him?
We can try that.
Councilman Lewis.
I would say the reason I need clarification is because that second sentence, it states, State Auditor's Office, Laura Brown, is of the opinion that any revenue generated with the tax credit reduction of a designated portion of increased tax rate should stay with that designated portion's destination. He's saying something, but it's not clear to me.
Well, he said in parentheses, it says paraphrase.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I don't understand it either. I didn't when I read it this afternoon. Sorry. I forgot about it actually. I mean, that's Laura Brown's opinion, but I don't know. I have to agree with that. I mean, I don't know why we can't set it up to do what we needed to do here. I mean, if there was a Ohio revised code was some sort of generally accepted accounting procedure that would prohibit that, then that should have been cited on here.
Yeah, this fall master council call if we get this. Do you have another number for it?
That's a sell.
Councilman Lewis.
Mr. Townsend, we've been saying, not you, ridiculous, sounds very aggressive. We've been saying this whole time, keep it simple. It seems like when we try to look at 80% and 90%, things get a whole lot less simple. So I don't know why we want to go there. 90% already. 90% already cruise.
Yeah, Ken, just listen for a minute, okay?
Listen to
Yeah, stop.
90% already proves to decrease the funding to streets, so it's not really an option. I guess, Mr. Cover, the conversation right now is going around, why does there have to be a 50-50 split, and why can't there be a 75-25 split with the increased funding?
Because the state auditor
Put that to the microphone.
it is unlikely that the tax reduction can be taken away from the designated portion of the tax for the street. But that's the most equitable way to distribute the new income.
Mr. Cover, can you try to say that again in a different way?
we're totally confused.
Yeah.
And the state auditor is questioning greatly the righteousness of us being able to distribute the tax debt reduction revenue disproportionately to the amount of tax that goes to the street. So we go 50-50, it would be pretty much equal to what we want to end up with.
And is this specifically to the 90%, or is this to the 80 or the 90% option?
Anybody else? You got a question, Myron? Hang on, kid. We're lost for words here.
Should I ask Ian if he can get over here, if he's over there, if he's over in the office?
I don't know. Ken, where are you at? At home? Ken? Yes, I can.
Ken, are you at home or are you in Massillon?
Never mind.
Tornado warning.
Mr. Cover is in his
basement.
basement due to the weather.
So Ken, I do have a question. If you go back to our original idea of the 100% credit on the first 1.8, and then everybody paid the additional 2/10, does this idea of the 50-50 split between streets and general fund still hold, or can we do the 3/4 of it to the streets and 1/4 of that to the general fund?
Councilman
Now,
Lewis.
hang on, Ken.
If this is going to be a sticking point, and I understand the line of questioning that Mr. Chauvin is going on as far as whether or not we can or cannot legally. However, we also have to look at this, is this going to be a sticking point for the commission to find a reason to reject one? Which does not have the same legal bearing as anything else we have, because it's open to the opinion of individuals. If we have to, we do the 50-50 on the increase, and then we control the budget. We can always come in and take that 25% that we couldn't write into the language and appropriate it there every year with the budget. There's nothing that stops us from doing that. And we could probably write into the plan 0.1 to general, and then make another box that says this dollar amount is going to go also go to streets. as a separate item if we really wanted to. If we wanted to demonstrate that it was going to happen. I think for the purpose of the commission, however, I don't know if they're going to be so concerned over how much money is going to go to the streets as much as how much money is generated for the overall fiscal health of the city. So why don't we take the safe road and not give them any reason to get hung up on anything and just convert it to .1 point?
And it may be, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Scassa.
Sorry. Maybe if we're talking about designating in the plan, that extra, maybe we can address a split capital improvements, maybe more in a general sense rather than just streets, since that's something we've been trying to work towards as well.
Right. And theoretically, I'm sorry.
Actually, just
Theoretically, one of the parts of the plan is to review and discuss the split, so it's already in there. It's already been a piece, so we don't even necessarily have to add anything to the plan. We can just go under the clause that we discussed the capital improvement split. We're going to increase it by 2% overall, which will generate the revenue we needed to put in the streets. So it's already kind of written in there.
I think we're done with Ken, right?
Yeah. Hunker down, Ken.
Ken, thanks. Yep, talk to you later. Bye.
that was different. Councilman Massillon, you still running the show.
Well, I think it's time to just move this forward. Our original plan.
Councilman Cho.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're probably going to have to amend this section, right? Where we talk in the resolution, where we talk about 0.15% for streets and 0.05 for general fund to 0.1 and 0.1.
Probably. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about.
Well, let's deal with this one first so we can make this change,
Okay.
since we're going to amend and vote on this tonight.
And I have a couple other language suggestions as well.
Okay.
After the show, then you.
My point was just to change the split here in the resolution. Thank you.
Councilman Lewis.
I guess if we're focusing on that box that has the tax levy language in it, I'm thinking as I read through it again, that the only suggestion I have, other than the same one that Mr. Chauvin did, is that when we go through here, it says 0.15%, which I think we're all in agreement will be changing, dedicated for the purpose of funding the city vehicle replacement plan for streets and highway division and, never mind, it's already in there, I read it wrong the first time. Ms. Rowland had it taken care of.
All right. Is there anyone else?
I really don't see,
Councilman Massillon.
I really don't see why we can't have both of them. I don't care what he says or Lord Brown says.
Because it will get rejected, that's what they're saying.
Yeah. But it doesn't work. And then the other thing I wanted to say, okay, the reason I ask are these the way they are. There still would be an option to go right in between them and go with 85%, which that would generate 3/10 from people that are, working out of town. People in town would be paying, everybody else would be paying 2/10 more than if you went to 85%, which is a 15% reduction from the 100%. Then that's essentially 0.3. Just like you said yesterday, 80% is 0.4, 90% is 0.2. If you go in between at 85, it's 0.3. And you can build those numbers, you'd be looking at about $1 million for in that last column one, 2019. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying look at these.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that converts so nicely. And the reason I say that is because, again, back to that street expense fund, in the 80%, he has it funded at $349,000. At 90%, he has it funded at $200,000 level. You go to 85%, it sounds like you should split the difference, but you can't until you know what that variable is there, because 100% 150,000 compounds quite dramatically over the course of 3 years. It's $500,000 essentially. So either you would say 1.4, it may be 1.36, it might be 1.45, depending on how that comes together.
Councilman Mansell.
Yeah, that split hairs is not even worth to talk about. They're somewhere close. That's all I'm saying. They're somewhere close. I mean, you gotta start quitting being so particular about something this, kind of nail it down to the penny or something. It is something close. I think we ought to just go with vote on a plan that we had last night, and let it go with that.
I have a question. Aren't we here to vote on a resolution to accept the mayor's 2015 fiscal restoration plan for councilman recommendation? I seem to have missed that somewhere. It's Councilman Cho.
I agree with you, and that's why I think we should go to the resolution that's here and just amend the section to change our split to 1/10 going for vehicle replacement in streets, 1/10 going to the general fund. So, in fact, if it's proper for me to do so, I'd like to move that we make that amendment to this.
I'll make that when you get it clear.
It's clear, it's right here. Change it to 1/10, 1/10.
Since it's my amendment. We're going to place on the ballot for the March 2016 election the question of whether to raise the income tax by 0.2%, that's January 1st, 2017. 0.1%, which is equal to 1/2 of the increase, shall be specifically dedicated for the purpose of funding city vehicle replacement plan and streets and highways division, and provide funding for city streets repairing, repaving program. And the other 1/10, which is the other 50% of the increase, shall be payable to the general fund, provided the income tax levy passes, effective January 1st, 2017. 100% income tax credit will be restored on the first 1.8 of income tax levy. All income taxpayers will pay the additional 0.2. Could I have a second for that? Or go ahead.
Second.
I'm sorry.
You made the motion, second by Councilman Stinson. Roll call to amend that section Councilman Mansell just read.
Del Rio Keller,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Scazza,
Yes.
Stinson,
Yes.
Chauvin,
Yes.
and Cunningham Heatherly.
Yes.
7 yes to amend council's recommendations.
Okay, that's amendment. Now we have, well, but we still have to look at the other parts we put on there and see if we want to go with.
Excuse me, Councilman Mansell, let's hear from Councilman Lewis.
I was going along the same lines, and if we go to the next box where it says by August 1st, 2015, I would like us to make an amendment to that as well, so that it would read by August 1st, 2015, the mayor and council will meet to form a campaign committee that is to use existing funds from the previous campaign.
I don't want to second that. I'd like to change that. I think we need discussion before we make that amendment.
Councilman Stinson.
I think that it needs to be amended to include the mayor. I do agree.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I think there's some things left out.
Okay.
Councilman Mansell.
Let's discuss it before we, I go along with, yes, we'll have a committee. I still think we should have like 3 to 5 council people to help form a steering committee. I think the mayor should be included, but the mayor and the mayor only, none of our representatives on that part of the committee. Understand what I'm saying? It's going to be us council, and it'll be her. And then we get together and we form the steering committee between the mayor and the council.
Councilman Lewis.
I would think that by stating the mayor and not the city administration, it makes that point. If I would have read, August 1st, 2015, the city administration, you leave it open to anyone. The mayor is a pretty specific title.
That's exactly why I said what I said at the start of the meeting. clear, and I want it done here, that's how it is. That's exactly why I wanted it, all that. And if it can't be accepted like that, then it's a no-go. Because I'm tired of having people show up that work for her, that are nothing there than doing, looking and seeing what's going on and her reporting back. I want her there, just like we would be there. And I think that's the only reason. And we set the committee up, it's equal. I'm really fed up with the mean-spirited attacks on the people that have been serving on the committees for the last 2 years.
Councilman Madison, we really have to stick to the agenda. We have what
That is part of the agenda.
we have deviated from it big time.
That is part of it, explaining it, the reason for it.
Council President, I have a question.
So,
Mr. Lewis, you had mentioned August 31st. What was that date for,
That date was mentioned at yesterday's meeting and was something that I was going to bring up as well as an amendment that may need to be here. We had discussed yesterday to put in there that we, as council, had the intention of having legislation voted on in reference to the levy itself, to have it put on the ballot. One of the points that the commission had made is that they wanted to see action and an action plan for when steps would be made. So whether you're for or against the levy itself isn't relevant. It's simply that we're going to have the legislation before council and voted on before August 31st. And I was going to get to that, Mr. Noel,
Okay.
and I appreciate you mentioning that. I assume we just get through this one first.
Okay. Thank you.
okay, you guys are ready to,
We're clear on its council and the mayor, right? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, the mayor.
And here's another reason that I'm bringing this up. You know, this was thrown on our laps by the commission, and they said, when we did this last year, council owns it. You remember that? You remember that? Council owns this. That was exactly what Mr. Gessner said. Okay? And I agree with that. The mayor did not want to chair that committee. I don't want her chairing this committee.
Councilman Manson, no disrespect. We are here to vote on resolution number 4. How come we're not doing that?
We're
You
trying to
guys
amend it.
have been meeting every other day for the last 2 weeks.
We're trying
I
to
mean, all
amend
this
it.
stuff should
And
be.
that's not true, Mr. President.
Well,
That is not true.
You've been meeting. I mean, I
Yes.
thought today we were voting on resolution number 4. You guys met yesterday. All I'm saying is like, when are we going to get to the business at hand? That's all. Councilman Lewis.
I make a motion that we amend the resolution. The second box down in the council recommendations on the 3rd page, I believe, where it reads by August 1st, 2015 is the start. My amendment will read, by August 1st, 2015, the mayor of the city of Massillon and council will meet to form a campaign committee that is to use existing funds from the previous campaign.
Second by Councilman Madison. Okay, are we ready? Roll call for the amendment.
Lewis,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Skaza,
Yes.
Stinson,
Yes.
Chauvin,
Yes.
Cunningham Heatherly,
Yes.
and Del Rio Keller.
Yes.
7 yes to amend resolution number 4, box number 2.
Okay. Councilman Chauvin.
And since we're talking about amendments, one other thing, if you go down to the last box on that page, where we talk about the police department legislation that was passed earlier, this is leaving this wide open by saying, we should put the date on it. It was passed, I think, May 5th, I believe is when we passed it, so we should put the date. 18 months would be roughly, it would be October 5th, 2016.
I think it was May 4th, Mylan.
May 4th, whatever it would be, the October 4th. I'd like that date put in there. So that should read, the police department shall maintain a workforce of 44 police officers within the next 18 months to be finalized by October 4th, 2016.
Will be.
Maybe.
Count that up and make sure it's 18 months. It might have to say November.
I think it will be November.
Okay, then make it to be finalized by November 4th, 2016.
No,
2007.
17.
No,
No, a year would be
year would be May.
May.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah,
it's 2016.
Okay.
Do you need me to read that again, Diane?
No, I've got it. To be finalized by November the 4th, 2016.
Right.
Okay. Mhm.
Last.
Councilman Manson.
There's a motion. I'm
Yeah.
second.
Oh, that's right, you have a motion for that amendment. Second, it was second by Councilman Lewis. Roll call to amend that section.
Manson,
Yes.
Skaza,
Yes.
Stinson,
Yes.
Chauvin,
Yes.
Cunningham Heatherly,
Yes.
Del Rio Keller,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
7 yes to amend box 4 of resolution number 4.
Thank you, that is amended. Councilman Lewis.
I just wanted to discuss, I wanted to make a motion that adds a box that Ms. Rowland referenced. Ms. Rowland, I have it written down here and I'll read it to you, but if you need clarification, so everyone knows I am reading directly from a written script that I've written down here in
Okay.
preparation for this.
Okay.
So I would move that we add a box to the plan that would read as such. By August 31st, 2015, council will create and vote on legislation to place the question of whether to raise the income tax by 0.2% commencing January 1st, 2007.
Okay.
Could you give her a copy of that? Thanks. Councilman Manson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Manson. Roll call to amend the section that Councilman Lewis proposed.
Skaza,
Yes.
Stinson,
Yes.
Chauvin,
Yes.
Cunningham Heatherly,
Yes.
Del Rio Keller,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Manson.
Yes.
7 yes to amend box 2 of resolution number 4.
Is there any, Councilman Manson?
Yes. Box 3. Yesterday when we asked if we wanted that left in, I don't think that was handled very well. The way I counted, I couldn't tell if it was a 4-3 vote or a 3-4 vote. So I believe we had to clear that up right now.
Councilman Lewis?
The easiest way to clear this up, and when Ms. Rowland called me today and asked me a direction, I did advise that it would probably be easier to have it in, and then if it went down, it's a lot easier to take something out than to try to place something in. Just so you know, that is why it was included, because it was ambiguous last evening. I think the easiest way to take care of that is if someone does not want it in there, to make a motion to amend to have it removed, and let the votes lie where the votes lie.
Councilman Manson?
I want to make a point. I was responsible for putting this language together, and if you're going to call Mr. Rowland to do something or want to change something, you contact me. If it's my responsibility, it's my
Point of order.
committee. You're out of line.
Right. So where are we?
Let's clear that up on that part.
Okay, that is clear. Councilman Manson, you still have the floor.
Make a motion that we bring resolution 4, 2015 forward for passage.
Second by Councilman Chauvin. Roll call.
Wait, point of
Well,
order.
there was a question about
Point
the,
of order. Don't, since we made all these amendments, when this come up for a first reading, we have to waive the rules so we can vote on
Yeah,
this.
it's first reading. regardless.
Exactly.
Right, needs to move to.
Wait, no matter what.
So Councilman Manson made a motion to waive the rules.
Do I make a motion to waive the rule requiring 3 separate readings and bring resolution 4, 2015 forward?
Right, second by Councilman Chauvin. Roll call for suspension.
Stinson,
Yes.
Chauvin,
Yes.
Cunningham Heathery,
Yes.
Del Rio Keller,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
and Scazza.
Yes.
7 yes to waive the rules for suspension.
Suspension. And for passage.
Chauvin,
Yes.
Cunningham Heathery,
Yes.
Del Rio Keller,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Scazza,
Yes.
and Stinson.
Yes.
7 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution number 4 has passed. And please, with all the amendments, if you could provide the clerk with your copies so she can correct them. And before you submit that to the mayor's office, you may want to send out to council members first so they can look it over prior to you sending that over. Okay, is there anything else, Councilman Lewis?
I would recommend if Ms. Rowland, if everybody in council is pleased with that, if Ms. Rowland could please send that out as early tomorrow morning as you possibly can. And if all council members, if again council is pleased with this, could please give a verification response to Ms. Rowland that they have read it and agree that that is the verbiage that they intended.
Councilman Lewis, Vance.
I want to tell everybody, keep these sheets that came from Ken, and I mean study them, because those are the best explanations we've had yet on how these work. So
Mr.
there-
President, I have a question because it was never clarified as to the 10% reduction for the elected official. It stays?
That's what we voted on just.
Okay, okay.
So is there anyone else? Any further comments or questions? Councilman Stinson.
I was gonna motion that we adjourn, but that's not my spot.
Well, it's committee of the whole.
And I motion that we adjourn.
Second by Councilman Manson. This meeting is adjourned.